Good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, and fightbackmediatv.com. I am thrilled that you are here with us this wonderful, what's this, Wednesday? Wonderful Wednesday. We are thrilled that you're here. We're also really happy that the channel is growing again. If you're a YouTuber, sometimes you get this growth and it just goes whoosh, and then it goes brrr, and then wee, right? We're in one of these wee kind of, well, not that enthusiastically, but overall wee uh, moment. And I appreciate every single new subscriber. Thank you, because there are a billion hours of YouTube put up every 15 seconds. So, and I'm exaggerating, but not by much. So you could decide to do a lot of stuff with your YouTube time, and that you would stop and subscribe and even hit that notification bell for a channel like this. Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate it. All right. And you can, and while I got you talking about that, you can also go to fightbackmedia.com, and check out the website. And there's some things there, and you can actually hear the podcast from there. Some past broadcasts. You can actually watch the videos. You can do a bunch of stuff there, so you can check that out. You can also buy me a cup of coffee, because you need coffee in the morning, right? This over here, so we don't have a coffee disaster later. All right. I don't know what to tell you. Because I think this is important. Now, the past couple of shows I've done story time, and this is going to be a lot the same, because I think a lot of where we have come from socially, economically, politically, spiritually, are because of our testimony, our lives, how our lives have led us to this place. People used to ask me all the time, so how did you become a conservative Republican? So my life led me there. It wasn't a person. A lot of times some people will think, well, I became a fan of this dude or this chick. No, my life led me here, just like your life has led you here, in front of your phone or in front of your computer, your whatever you're watching this on, your TV, however you got here, your life led you here, and my life led me here. And probably the final step to change the registration and to change the associations had to do with the birth of my son, more than 33 years ago now. His birthday was the 12th. And I was wondering if I'd missed it, but I didn't, because I said happy birthday to him. I gave him a hug. So I know that I did miss his birthday, but it was 33 years ago or so. While all that was taking place, I was getting connected in my faith, and I just had a baby. My son was born. And I'll tell you what, if you have dudes, this is what dads don't get to talk about, because mom's bodies change and becomes a big deal. But if you're a dad, things change. Your attitude about everything around you changes, and sometimes you're terrified, because now you're responsible for that, entirely responsible. And it can be a huge feeling on your heart, in your spirit, and make you rethink a bunch of stuff. And it was for me anyway. So I started rethinking everything. I remember saying that when I was in college, when the subject of abortion came up. I was in college in the late 70s and the early 80s. So when that subject came up, and it came up, when we were at parties, or we were, or whatever. And my thought was, because I was intelligent and erudite, and dumber than a stone, that if you were against abortion, don't have one. Wow, true. um, Dumb, because I really didn't know. I just really didn't know. I didn't know that at 15 weeks, this is what your baby looks like. I didn't know. So I was wrong. Absolutely wrong. So once I got the reality that I was wrong later, after my son was born, because we found out, this always, it still makes me laugh. After 3 decades, it makes me laugh. We found out that my wife and I, were pregnant on July 4th. My son was born full term on September 12th. Some of the nurses said, because he had that sort of second layer skin on him, that he may have been even a little late. So we didn't even know we were pregnant. We didn't even know that we were going to have a baby for 7 months. There's a whole bunch of medical reasons why we didn't know, but we didn't know. We were dumb, bouncing around life, just bumping into crap. But true. So when people say, I don't know how that's possible, trust me, it's possible. And so when we found out that my wife was pregnant, um, my son was never blob. He was never just an idea to us. He was always Alex, and that is my co-host, TC Tobines, TC Bell Tobines. Um, he was never an idea to us, or thought, or blob. He was always William Alexander. Once we found out what his sex was going to be, even before that, if it's a boy, he's going to be William Alexander. And he was always William Alexander. Or he was at one point in our brain, Rainey, because that would have been her great grandmother's name. Margaret Rainey would have been her mother, her grandmother, and her great grandmother's name, Margaret Rainey Lawson. So they were always people to us. The baby was always baby. The baby was never a blob or an idea or a clump of cells to us. Just never was. And as he moved on, and I'm holding this child that afternoon, um, I thought about what I'd said, and I thought I was wrong. That abortion is killing a child. So I changed my thoughts on abortion. I changed. I just changed. I changed because I found out information and I had an experience. So it was easy. So because I changed that, I had to change my associations, my political thoughts, the people I was associating with or identifying with politically. I had to switch. I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't hang out. I couldn't hang out intellectually with people who were okay with killing babies. I just could can't. Who can? Infanticide. I couldn't. So I did. Before I even knew what pro life was. I didn't know what pro choice was. Pro life. I didn't have any real idea what those terms meant. Those are just like, I don't know, t-shirt terms for me. You just can't kill babies ever at any age, even when they're teenagers and they kind of deserve it. You just can't kill babies. You can't. So I ended up moving to more of the conservative Republican, and I put those in air quotes for you, side of things and candidates, and then like so 33 later, 33 years later, here I am. Here I am. So there you go. So you wonder how that happened. That's how that happened. Now, here's here's where we are now. We heard President Trump on Deface the Nation. I'm sorry, Meet the Depressed. Thank you, Mark Levin. And his comments about the heartbeat bill that was signed in Florida. So a particularly memorable part of the interview entailed Trump's response on abortion. While Trump has touted his credential as the most pro-life president in our nation's history, he did. You remember he went to the rally and the whole nine. He never, he basically took a shot at the heartbeat bill that was signed here in Florida by his opponent, one of his opponents, Governor Ron DeSantis. He signed that in April. He said he called it a terrible thing and a terrible mistake. How can it? I don't know. Now, I think Trump is incorrect. And I'm not here to debate Trump. Because I just think I think he's wrong. I don't think there's any debate. But his answer, and I'm going to play a minute of the interview and the clip where he talks about it. And I gotta say, I just have to say that it's cringy. And if you are a supporter of Donald Trump, and let me back up because a lot of you will come at me, and that's fine. Come at me. Because every time I say something negative about Donald Trump, people who have subscribed manage to unsubscribe. I don't know, maybe something in the air that says, somebody said something negative about Trump, cancel him. Okay, whatever. If you supported Trump because you think part of the reason is that he is pro-life, that he is on your side about such things, that he's a godly person. I want you to watch this clip, and then I want you to write in the comments to Donald Trump, not to me, but to Donald Trump, how you feel about what he said. Don't write them to me, because I'm going to play for you, I didn't say. And I'm not even going to really say what he said. I'm going to let him say it.
Mr. President, I want to give voters who are going to be weighing in on this election a very clear sense of where you stand on
I think they're all going to like me. I think both sides are going to like me.
What's going
to have to happen is you're going to have to... Listen, you're asking me a question. What's going to happen is you're going to come up with a number of weeks or months. You're going to come up with a number that's going to make people happy. Because 92% of the Democrats don't want to see abortion after a certain period of time.
If a federal ban landed on your desk, if you were reelected, would you sign it at 15
weeks? Are you talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks.
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that goes too far?
I think what he did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
All righty. You heard what he said. If a bill came onto his desk, he basically said he's not going to tell you now whether you signed it or not signed it, that he would get both sides together. What sides? My question to you, President Trump, is what sides are you talking about? The sides that don't want you to kill children, or the side that is perfectly okay with murdering a child in utero. At 15 weeks. It's one of those things, and the left us is much better than the right. I don't know where there's another side to this, where the debate is. Debate is to do what? It's okay to kill the baby, or it's not okay to kill a baby. And you would sort of negotiate something. It reminds me, and you just got reminded of it too, didn't it? When Governor Northam said that if the baby is born, then there would be a conversation between the mother and the doctor. It's like two wolves and a lamb deciding on what's for dinner. Now, I need to know what your response is, and not your response to me, because I told you my response. I have been transparent. You know where I stand. Your response in the comments, you're going to have to think about, because you're not writing it to me. You're writing your response to Donald Trump on what he said, not what I said. Headphones crashing to the floor. What he said, not what I said. Your comments are to President Trump. What do you think? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about what he said? Does it affect how you will support or not support Donald Trump in the upcoming primaries? If it will, in a positive sense for President Trump, tell him so in the comments. If you're like, yeah, or oh, write it in the comments, please, because that's what we need to hear. Because this ain't about me. This subject ain't about me. I'm just bringing it to you so you can think about it. Cool. All right. We are going to take a little break. We'll be back because I have a couple of thoughts about some celebrities that we want to get to after the break. Thank you again for subscribing. Thank you again for sharing. Thank you again for liking. Thank you again for commenting. We'll be right back right after this.
I can't believe that. Now they circling. See, then look. I want you to know this is not. Don't police people's way. Let me tell you this. This is not a black woman who's putting Black Lives Matter. I just want you to know that right, but y'all doing that for us, and we ain't asked you to do that. Listen, don't spray stuff on here when they gonna blame black people for this, and black people didn't do it. There's a black person, but we did. If we wanted you to do it, we would have asked. They not gonna show y'all faces when they see that on their building. They gonna blame that on us. Y'all are part of the problem. News come on, they gonna say we did that. We didn't do that. Stuff like this ain't right. Stuff like this ain't right. That's what the problem is. We out here standing together peacefully, protesting without any problems. You got people of all races spraying on buildings talking about Black Lives Matter. That ain't even us. You got police officers coming to a peaceful protest spraying gas on us. We ain't even did nothing. Don't let the media fool you. When they see the vandalism on these places, know that it wasn't us. And when you see stuff like that, you're supposed to stand up and say something. Don't spray on these people's buildings. That's not our message. That's not helping nothing. And then putting it on us, and then want to argue with us and say somebody black asked you to spray. We don't need nobody to do nothing for us. That's why we out here doing it ourselves.
All right, welcome back. Thank you again for spending some time with us We're going to finish up here in a second. I promise. We're not going to keep you all day. Uh, there is a guy out there. His name is Russell Brand. You've seen him. He's sort of the English fellow who's sort of unkept. He would fit in wearing exactly what he's wearing now in the way that he's dressed now in the Senate now, of course, with the change of rules, but we're not exactly. That's TC Bell agreeing with me. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Russell Brand because Russell Brand has been accused of sexual assault. And a lot of us are like, so where did this come from? Because what we're seeing on social media is that Russell Brand is sort of starting to resonate. He was resonating with conservatives, and now as that as that started to resonate more, he started to resonate some with Christians. So it's my thought, and this is my thought, and you can comment on this if you agree or disagree with me in the comments, and that's just the cat who cannot leave the room, and that's just going to be how it is. The idea is that you agree with me if you want to disagree, that when he started to identify as Christian, the left said we've got to destroy this guy, because they always go to we've got to destroy this person as opposed to we have to debate them and we have to come against them intellectually. No, and it comes from this. Now you've heard a lot about this book if you listen to Glenn Beck, for the past 10 years or whatever. It's called Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, who taught at the University of Chicago. And who are Alinskyites? Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and others. Basically, it's a manual. It says, part as title, it says, as a pragmatic primer on realistic radicals. And there are 13 tactics. Now, sometimes on Facebook, I see things that are supposed to be from this book that are not, because I read the book. Read it, and a lot of stuff that you'll see that happens, you'll recognize. You'll go, oh yeah, it's rule number 4 or whatever. And there are 13. I'm going to go through them quickly because I need to get to the last one. When talking about Russell Brand, first one is power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Power is derived from the two main sources, money and people. Have-nots must build power from flesh and blood. Number 2, never go outside the expertise of your people. The result is confusion, fear, and retreat. But rule 3, whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. Here you want to cause confusion, fear, and retreat. Go outside their expertise. Number 4, make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. You can kill them with this, for they can no more obey their own rules than the Christian church can live up to Christianity. This is how, listen to me carefully, this is how Howard Stern can look down his nose at Lauren Boebert and her behavior in the theater. Now, somehow now he's a beacon of decency. Ridicule, and we see this a lot, is man's most potent weapon. It's almost impossible to counteract ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition, who then react to your advantage. You're a racist. Can't defend yourself against that. It's infuriating. It's a lie, but it sticks. It's infuriating. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. And number 6, a good tactic is one your people enjoy. If your people are not having a ball doing it, there's something very wrong with the tactic. They like it. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. And this is why it seems to be this thing and 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 this thing, which actually falls right into the next one, which is 8. Keep the pressure on. Never let up. Use different tactics, actions, and utilize all events of the period for your purpose, whatever it is they use. Russell Brand, Lauren Boebert, or whatever her name is, Donald Trump. Not only are they not disagree with someone like Ron DeSantis, they want to cause misery in his family, and we saw the same thing with Melania Trump. Use everything and keep the pressure on. Number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Usually. Number 10, the major premise of tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposite, constant pressure. Number 11, and we've seen this, if you push a negative hard and deep enough, it will break through into the counter side, positive. This is based on the principle that every positive has a negative. We've already seen the conversion of the negative into a positive in Mahatma Gandhi's development of the tactic of passive resistance, whatever it is. If you push that negative hard enough, if you tell the lie long enough, it will become the truth. Number 12, the price of success of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. You cannot risk being trapped by the enemy in his sudden agreement with your demand saying that you're right. We don't know what to do about an issue. Now you tell us. And we've said that before, right? We've seen that where the left, goes crazy about something. You go, yeah, you're right. We don't know what to do. Well, what's your plan? What's your plan? And now we're at impasse, right? And this is what we're seeing when we see the left attack individuals. Number 13, pick a target. Freeze it, isolate it, personalize it, and then polarize it. The opposition must be singled out as the target and frozen. In a complex, interrelated urban society, it becomes increasingly difficult to single out who is to blame for any particular evil, whatever. There is a constant passing the buck. Obviously, there is no point to the tactics unless one has a target upon which to center the attacks. If an organization permits responsibility to be diffused and distributed in a number of areas, attack becomes impossible. No. Find a person to blame. Freeze it. And don't let them move from there. Make it personal. Cause the division. This is what we're seeing with Russell Brand. This is what we saw with Herman Cain. This is what we're seeing with Donald Trump. This is what we're seeing with Ron DeSantis. This is what we see. It is the 13th tactic in the book Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. Even my categories. What do you think? Write your comments. Write what you think in the comments, please. And then share this video with your friends. Let them know that there are people on the right who we're trying to think through this. We're not acting irrationally. We just are thinking irrationally. We're trying to think our way through this. We're trying to get all the information and be able to use it in a way that makes sense. That's what we're doing over here. All right. Again, visit the website, fightbackmedia.com. If you guys, are so inclined, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Yes, the cat says no coffee for me. She wants rabbit. In any case, until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.